you've had a great session, some great sessions since morning. And in continuation of that, we've seen how to put it all together in terms of numbers, the way Mr. Ramki and Satyendra told us, how to position your shows in terms of event branding. But now's the time to give shape to it. And I'm going to help you put shape to your show. What we are going to cover is the essentials for floor planning, right? So as I said, we've heard about how to budget it, how to market it, how to brand it. Now's the time to execute, to plan it, to give it a shape, right? So just little about myself. I've been the architect for some of the major shows like Electrama, Auto Expo, India ITME, IMTEX, Blast India, Bharatex. So these are the shows which I plan, right? And I've been in the industry for close to 34 years, I think now, 34, 35 years. And collectively, I've planned about 6 million square meters of exhibition space. So I hope I'm able to do justice to the session. So first thing first, I want to know what all do you expect from me in this session. I need to have the expectation right. So can I have some raise of hands and some shares, and what do you expect that I will be covering in this session? Anyone? Go for it.
Planning on the stall floor plan.
Yeah, okay, good. There are no wrong answers, mind you. Please shoot.
How to utilize the space.
Excellent.
To the floor planning.
Excellent.
To create a floor plan which can maximize my yield for sales and sponsorships, keeping in view the statutory requirements and the venue requirements in hand.
That's already summed up.
One line.
Thank you so much, Surajji. You are awesome as always. So, okay, so what are the topics that I'm going to cover in this presentation? First things first, understanding the venue. Then the subject of the show. Then analysis. This is the analysis on the basis of which you can start your plans. And then comes the stage of design, concept and development. And then the branding and signage. Then once everything is put together, then you move to the site and take care of the on-site management. And then most importantly, the post-show report. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this session. I'll just delve into one by one. First and foremost, the venue. You have to understand the venue very well to plan it well. If you don't have a clear understanding of the venue, you will have challenges at the time of execution. So, even if you have designed 10 shows at a venue, it is still a prerequisite to visit the venue before you start doing your planning, because the venue owners will always keep on upgrading their venues, they will always keep on adding value for their customers, and they will always keep making changes which may come as an aftershock to you if you have not inspected it before you start planning. So very important to check the venue, check for the accessibility for exhibits as well as for visitors. There may be some openings which have been created, some doors which have been removed or repositioned or increased in size or increased in height or reduced in height. You should not get it as a shock when you go to the site. So,
The Mumbai Exhibition Center, NESCO, is a classical example.
yeah.
How many of you have worked at NESCO? So what is the biggest risk which we see at NESCO? That after monsoons, some gates have permanent walls. And you thought your trucks will enter. आप जाओगे तो पता लगेगा वहाँ तो पूरी दीवार बन गई है, कोई ट्रक अंदर नहीं आ सकता. You've seen that? Hall 2, Hall 3, so many gates are permanent now. Secondly, because of some of the unique constructions, when you enter, the ramps have come now where trucks just cannot enter because the ramp width is not so much. So if something goes inside, it will get stuck. You know that? So this is what he is saying, that when you are planning, each one of us should go to the venue at least 3 times. When you are making the floor plans, midway, and at least 1 month before the show, so that you know if you want to make any changes, you should be ready. And each venue has its unique set of stories. What are the unique set of stories in Delhi? Any ideas of what venues in Delhi, which is unique stories of Delhi? Fire curtains. No, fire curtains. Now each hall has got fire curtains. So when you are planning, the fire curtains have to fall exactly in the aisle, and it may hit your efficiency big time. So again, talking about venue is important. In Mumbai, in Delhi, if you have worked at Bharat Mandapam, while they will tell you that hall 2, 3, 4, 5, ground and 1 are exactly the same, you know the difference? Operation people should know 2, 3, 4, 5 up and down.
First thing is that they have walls between each hall, which is not
On
there
the upper floor.
On the upper floor.
So upper floor is not continuous, there are permanent walls. Again, you have to think, you cannot assume that nahi hai.
So I would add to what Surajji has just said about NESCO. How many of you know that hall 2, one of the entrances has been permanently closed? Right? And why? No, because they are making a new food court. So they've taken some area out of the open area of hall 2, which used to be the open bay, to make that food court. As a result, they've closed one entry altogether. So if you were referring to the earlier plans and planning as per that, and creating an entry at that point, and having sold a stall close to the entry, and finding that there is no entry, how would you feel?
See, for floor planning, all operations, sales and marketing, all of them are directly affected. So you should not say कि ops वाले करेंगे हम देखेंगे बाद में. Whatever you have sold as a branding, whatever you have sold as a super premium hall, or it can be the worst booth without of one small change of regulation.
Yeah.
And again, looking at NESCO, another thing which really bothers me at times is the placement of their toilets. So sometimes you are making a floor plan based on full hall 4. What is the size of hall 4? 10,000 square meters. But if you use only 6,000, the behind toilets cannot be used, because you will not be covering that. You will not be giving access to that. So the entire thing changes for you. What are the available toilets? Again, this is planning which you will have to do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So it's important to also check what are the electrical panels, where are the electrical panels placed, where are the fire hydrants placed, where are the fire exits, and as Surajji just mentioned, fire curtains. So in Bharat Mandapam only, the old halls had no fire curtains, which still have no fire curtains, but all the new halls have fire curtains. So you have to make sure that the fire curtain space is left free of any obstruction at all times. And fire curtains on the lower level and the upper level don't align. They are different locations. So you need to check each and everything. Same goes for Yashobhumi. They also have smoke curtains, because that's a norm now, that you can't build a venue without a smoke curtain. So all these things are something which, as a planner of the show, you need to keep in mind before you start laying down your show.
One point which is very important in 2025 is rigging from the top. At Jio, you can do great rigging from the top. At Yashobhumi, you can do great rigging at the top. In NESCO, you can't do. In Bharat Mandapam, at some places you can do, some places you cannot do. So you have to plan this out very carefully. And a good ops planner will never be afraid to promote rigging. It really adds a lot of great visual value to the show.
And it's also important to mark the services that are there in the trenches under the floor, because you may have to tap some services from the floor through the trenches. So if you don't have your trenches marked out on your layout, you may find that point where you want to take the services out is where the exhibitor's conference room is there, or his president's room is there, and he will not allow you to do it. What will you do then? So it's very important to check the venue and check the municipal local guidelines of how to plan a show there, so that you don't get any shocks. We are just preventing ourselves from any shocks when we go to the venue. So what is the subject of the show? That's very important when you start planning. It is very important to understand the show. Is it a consumer show, or is it a industry specific show? Like some of the shows I talked about, 𝐿𝐴𝐶𝐿 is both B2B as well as B2C, whereas a show like 𝐊𝐵 is again a B2B as well as B2C. 𝐴𝐧𝐸 is purely B2C, So you have to understand whether it is a consumer-oriented show or an industry-oriented show. Is it, again, is it a B2B show or a B2C show? And is it a live machinery show or a static show? If it is a live machinery show, your role becomes most important, because a live machinery would need power supply to run the machines, compressed air, which for machines which need a compressed air supply, water supply. There may be some machines which need constant water for cooling of their machine, and drainage of that water. So all four services are required. So it's important to first check the venue whether it has that facility or not, and then lay out according to the services which are available. So this is a very important part of your planning, to understand, is it a live machinery show, a show like Plast India, a show like India ITME, a show like IMTEX. These are all live machinery shows, and the backbone of those shows are the services. So you have to keep in mind those services. And last but not the least, what is the targeted footfall? What are the numbers we are talking about? For a show like Auto Expo, we can get almost 2 lakh visitors in a day. And similarly for a Auto Expo also, the motor show will have visitors like 2 lakh, but for the component part, you will have maybe 20,000 visitors, because it's a B2B show. It's part of the same umbrella. So it's very important to know what is the targeted footfall, what is the age group that is going to visit. Are there any kids there? You may have to plan differently. Are there any elderly people visiting there? You have to plan differently. So you have to understand the subject well, you have to understand the targeted footfall very well. Then only you can plan an efficient and effective layout. Next will be the analysis. You have to compare the data of the previous editions as well as competing shows when you are planning a show. It is very important to understand how the show has progressed over years, over different editions. And this I am speaking from experience, because I planned I think almost 15 𝐿𝐴𝐶𝐿 editions. Every edition is better than the last one. So you have to understand how is it progressing. Again, going to a design concept and development, you have to understand, is it a pre-laid out show or a post-booking layout? So there are two ways of planning a show. There are some organizers who say, this is our plan, pick your stall, book it. Some organizers say, you give us your requirement, we will plan the show as per your requirement. So it's very important to understand what kind of a show is it. The challenges are more in a pre-laid out show, because you have to create an algorithm based on the past editions of how the booking will come and what kind of a requirement you envisage. All this you have to do in coordination with the organizers. You're not doing it alone. They are the ones who have to give you the data. You are the one who have to analyze that data and put it in use. So it's very important to know what kind of a layout is it. Then, is there any zoning requirement? A show like India ITME will have a separate section for weaving, a separate for spinning, a separate for processing, and separate for digital printing. So you have to understand what kind of zoning is required to be done and what is the requirement per zone, so that you can plan it according to that. Traffic flow management. How is the traffic movement going to happen during the build-up, during the show, and during the knockdown, so as not to create any chaos and not to have any mishap occurring because of poor planning. And is there any theme to be followed for a particular show? There are shows which develop a new theme every edition. So you have to be part of that thought process. What is the theme that you have to follow? Sectoral distribution, just like I told you, that there can be different zones for different sectors. What about the essential services which are attached, which are essential for running a successful show? Food, medical facilities, prayer rooms, utilities. These are the basic necessities for a visitor who has come to visit the show. And as we all heard just now, integration of technology. Technology is changing big time. I met somebody who's working on AI in exhibitions. So a planner needs to interact with all the related agencies to see how that technology can be integrated for efficient planning. So it's very important to stay abreast with the technology and interactive elements.
Thing which is very important for planning in India is seasonal considerations. You may be doing a show in September every year. Now you would like to do the same show in February. Delhi planning will be totally different for a mossy, foggy February versus a wet September. Some of the machinery which you can think of putting outside, assuming no rains, but the fog, the morning dew can be very, very important in some shows. And again, in cities like Delhi, sometimes diesel generators are not permitted in winter months. Again, your floor plan should be kept in mind that what are these restrictions which come in some seasons. In Calcutta, there is a sunrise at 5 a.m. In Mumbai, there is a sunrise at 7 a.m. So while even sunset in Calcutta would be at 4:30, in Mumbai it will be at 6:30. So those things are very important when you are thinking which exhibition activity will be outside, which will be inside, how much lighting is required to make things happen. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So once all that is done, planning is done, sales is done, booking is done, everything is frozen, that's the time when you move to the site, right? So that's where your role starts for on-site management. So first thing that you need to do is coordinate with all the agencies involved in putting the show together. All the service providers, all the technology backbones, organizers. You are the fulcrum. You are the person who's acting between the organizers and the agencies as a planner. Because what you have in mind, you have to give shape on site. And that's the only way, by doing proper coordination with all the partners. Communication with exhibitors, which is very important. So one of the roles for a planner is to create the design guidelines for a show and approve the designs of those stalls. So a lot of times, some exhibitors, they don't understand the guidelines. It is important that you tell them what that guideline means for them and for the organizers. So it's very important to have the message very clear to each and every exhibitor what he has to do and what he's not supposed to do. So this is a very important part. Then logistics planning. So when we are talking about machinery shows or large format shows, there is a lot of machinery movement that happens during the build-up. You have to be part of that planning process with the operations team on ground as to how that movement is supposed to happen to make it seamless, to make it free of any chaos, free of any obstructions in the aisles, all that has to be part of your pre-planning process so that on-site you can implement it properly. Planning for emergencies, very important. So as a designer, we always plan for the worst case scenario. When we are creating a building, we design it for earthquakes. Factor of safety. So you have to understand that if there is a stampede or if there is an emergency, a fire or whatever, a riot or whatever, how will you evacuate that venue in no time? Your plan should have an evacuation process implemented in your planning. It's very important. And these days, by the way, you don't get a fire NOC if you have not submitted an evacuation plan. I don't know if you are aware or not. It is an important part of your submission documents that you have to submit an evacuation plan of the exhibition to get a fire NOC. So it's important to understand the venue, do the layout accordingly, and make sure that your evacuation is in place before anybody moves in. And of course, then coordinating with all these agencies for essential services like food, ambulances, medical rooms, prayer rooms, other utilities. All this is part of a planner's role. So it's important that you understand all of that so that you are able to prepare an efficient layout. Then we've already heard about event branding. Where is your role in that? Your role is to identify the location and size of those brandings. Where do you think those should be put up? In coordination with the branding agency. Again, very important, you are a coordinator. You are a planner. So you have to be working with all the agencies. So when it comes to this, you have to coordinate with the branding agency. But the idea has to be yours as to where do you think it will work out best to position those branding and signages, which Surajji very rightly pointed out that in India, you need a lot of signages. So it is important to identify the location and size of these branding and signages, and more importantly, where do you make signages which you can sell? Because that's an important part of a revenue for an exhibition organizer, to sell the branding space. So it is a planner's role to identify those places without compromising the look and feel of the show, as to which all locations can be given out for exhibitors so that they can promote their brand and create a revenue stream for the organizers. Again, this is part of your planning process. What he rightly said earlier, location of wayfinding signages, it is important to identify those so that as a visitor, when I go there, I know where I have to go, what I have to follow, where I have to go. Signages within the halls. I have to go to aisle D. I am in aisle T. I don't know how to reach. So if I have proper signages, proper navigation, I will be able to reach where I want to reach. Because a lot of times, especially for a B2B show, a visitor comes with the preset mindset that I want to visit so and so company and meet so and so person on that stall. How does he reach that stall is where your role comes into picture. You have to make sure that he reaches that place easily by way of your navigation signages. As you know, these days everything is virtual, so there are virtual information kiosks. There used to be a time when we used to have information counters. I don't know how many of you remember. We used to have physical information counters inside the exhibitions, people guiding where you can go to, how you can go where. Those days are gone. It's all virtual now. It's there on the app. It's there on virtual information kiosks. So you have to be part of the planning for that. So having done all of that, what according to you is the single most important factor to keep in mind while planning? Here I am looking at answers from you. Let's hear from you. After having seen what I have told you, what according to you, what have you understand is the single most important factor to keep in mind while planning? Pillar, okay. Anybody else? Maximize revenue, okay. Who else? Excellent. What? Who else? Entry and exit points, right? So what if I were to, okay, so what if I were to tell you that most important part is proper visibility for each exhibitor and ease of navigation for each visitor so as not to miss any exhibitor? Do you think as a planner this is your most important role? Right? So, how do you achieve this? By following all that we have so far seen. So, but what is the end result we want? This is the end result we want. This is what we are working for. This is what an organizer has hired us for. Right? An exhibitor wants maximum ROI from his stall. An organizer wants maximum ROI from his exhibition. A visitor wants maximum ROI of his time that he has spent on the venue. And how does that happen? Only by doing this. By this way, you are giving the proper ROI to all three of them. Yes or yes? Right? So, once you have done all of that, it's very important to analyze what you have done. A post-show report is very important, not only for yourself, but for the organizer as well. Identify what worked well for the show. And more importantly, identify what did not work well or what could have been done better. So, you have to report areas of improvement and why that improvement is required. It's very important. And shortcomings and pitfalls can be both sides, can be 3 sides, can be 4 sides, can be some agencies who need to improve their services, can be ourselves who could have done planning in a better way, can be in terms of the organizers giving you data well in advance or giving you more information, timely information, can be anything. But it has to cover, it has to be a comprehensive post-show report so that you are ready for the next edition. You're not just doing that show, you are thinking beyond. What would you do next time which will be different from what you have done this time? That's most important, you have to keep it in mind. So just to summarize, first important thing is venue, then the subject of the show, the analysis of past editions and competitors, then you go to the design concept and development, then comes the on-site management, the branding, and then the post-show report. That encapsulates the complete gamut of services that you're supposed to provide when you are planning a show. I hope I was able to clarify whatever you expected, and please.
What in case of open hangars or open ground,
Yeah,
where we build the structures, German hangars and all.
yeah.
So in such cases, what we should be careful about?
So first things are the services. How are you going to air condition that space in the first place? How is the freight movement going to happen? How is the evacuation going to happen? Right? So these are the 3 important things, and of course the fire safety, because unless you have the fire safety in place, you won't get the permission to build them. So structurally, they have to be solid. You have to have a structural report from a structural engineer that this structure is stable, it is going to last you the complete event, and there is no danger involved.
So can you share your experience in terms of getting the permission from the different government organizations?
Well, first of all, we don't liaison with the government organizations. It's the organizers who do it. We provide them the details that So as I said, you have to have your evacuation plan in place if you want a fire NOC. You have to have the structural reports in place if you are having temporary structures. You have to show them the exit plan once the show is over, the entry plan before the show. Once all those details, so it's, as a planner, it's our role to provide the details. And over the last all these years, since we have been providing all these details, we have been getting the permissions.
See, for German hangars, what do you think is the most complicated planning requirement? For German hangar, in my opinion, the most complicated flooring requirement is the clear height and the minimum height. What happens in a German hangar, there could be maximum height available of 6 meters also at some places, but the minimum clear height would be 4 meters or 4.5 meters. So which location you are going to permit special designs in a German hangar is very complicated as what you will see in a standard exhibition hall. Sachinji, if you can tell more on this.
Certainly, sir. I fully agree. Plus the height available for getting the hydras in, because
so the boom height should always be added to the maximum permitted height of the installation. So if 4 meters is the maximum which you are permitting, 2 meters for hydra, and if you are permitting 6 meters, does that door permits 6 meters or not? And you can be in a very tough position where you cannot do anything if the machinery will not enter. The entire blame will be with you. And second thing for German hangars, again, which sir mentioned, is about flooring. Where you are constructing the hangar and what is the strength of the flooring. Is it a proper cemented structure or are you doing it in the garden? If you are doing it in the garden, what is the season like? Can it rain and dampen? And if that happens, what is going to happen to your carpet? Because water will come from below. These are very important, interesting situations to look into.
So that's why these days we have a toe wall all around the structure, so that in case it is raining, the water doesn't seep in. So all these are very important points to be considered when creating a temporary structure, as you rightly mentioned.
And temporary toilets.
Yeah.
In a temporary structure, you cannot live without good quality toilets.
Any more questions?
Can you please elaborate on the latest navigation techniques? Like you are seeing some kiosk and mobile apps are there for visitor to go through the entire expo, to guide him regarding the hospital.
See, these days the biggest tool that anybody uses is the device that they have in their hands, the mobile, right? So you embed the navigation tool in your app. Just press the company name and say navigate to, and it will give you the route, shortest route to that particular stall.
Can we use Google links like this GPS locations also to guide you?
We can certainly use it, but mind you, when there are so many people inside a venue, the connectivity can be a challenge. You have to keep that in mind. So one of the things that you need to keep while taking the infrastructure into place is what is the connectivity there, what is the bandwidth available.
See, from a technology point of view, there are 3 technologies available. One technology is called a beacon technology. So beacon technology is, imagine you are going and each metro pillar has a number. So if you say I am at metro pillar 45, I want to go to this place, your system can calculate. And today's Google Map can answer that thing very, very comfortably sitting on your phone. So good thing which a lot of people do it at times, that they embed their location inside the exhibition hall in a Google Map only. It is not very difficult to do that, but as an organizer, you will not be able to do it, but as an exhibitor, they can do it.
There have been service providers
So again, it's a very painful thing. If there are 200 booths, there are service providers who will measure all those 200 booths and can give you a navigation plan from here to here, here to here. But if you change one booth's location, the entire programming has to be done once again. That will not work on internet. That can work offline also. But most of the good technologies are working on internet. There is one company who is also working on a beaconless technology. Currently no success in India, but we will inform you once they launch their operations in India. But again, with good signage, it's a matter of simple navigation. I am not very confident to say this is a must for exhibitions, that you should be able to see on your phone and then say where you can go. Your human brain can also navigate very comfortably.
How many of you have been to international exhibitions? Internationally? Of course. No, the reason I'm asking, if you have to compare the signages over there and what we do it in India, what difference do you see? What difference do you see? I'm asking you a very simple question. They also have the exhibition, they also have the kind of exhibition stalls they have. So what's the difference you see in the term they do their signages on site and what we do here? Do you see any difference? What is it? Can you please share with them for everybody's benefit?
First of all, they keep big inside buntings for each eye and multiple buntings. Number one. Number two, they keep in India in our organization minimum 3 meter eye. So they always try to keep maximum 4 to 5 meter eye so people can walk. And they use walk stickers. In India, we use 2 by 2 walk stickers, 2 feet by 2 feet. I have seen 5 meter, 3 meter by 3 meter walk to navigate washrooms, then conference areas, cafeterias, where are the startup zone they have created. So many things.
Okay. You want to answer this question? From where I'm coming from, you got me this, right?
So what he's trying to say is, do they help you navigate the space, the exhibition better than how we do? That is the question.
And what is stopping you to not do it in India? Who's stopping you to put 5 meters high?
Or who's stopping you to do the aisle navigation?
3 meter flow sticker.
So there are some limitations in our events.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
that. See,
yeah. But of course,
I'm just trying to.
we have already started implementing some new ideas, which we are seeing in the international events, in terms of signages and the flow stickers, even buntings, the outside hoardings also.
So the whole idea of his pointing it out is follow the best practices around the world. As simple as that.
See, and moreover, if you go there, they already have inbuilt signages. They do not make any additional directional signages for that matter. Now, in the new venues which is coming in India, they have indoor their signages, but still we print additional signages on site. I'm not saying why. It all depends on organizers to organizers. Just food of thought, like why we want to go back to what we have been doing. Why not to explore something which is better, nicer, available, and like you said, the best practices.
Even recently, I have visited Milan event, CPHI worldwide. I have not seen any printed so many banners. So almost 90% venue is occupied by digital signages
And fixed
Signages.
installations.
Fixed installations. You
Everything here in India is all flex sharp or flex sharp.
we are hoping,
You have these installations, they will want to print more.
we are expecting from venue authorities to at least have digital branding, so we can have, and we can go for the highest number of revenue for sponsorship also, in terms of that.
Any more questions before we get in the next speaker?
We did one of our conferences in QXCC, one of the largest convention centers, and we didn't have any signage printed at all because everything is so well set up already. We didn't have any signage for that matter.
See, that's what I'm saying. The new venues which are coming in, they have all these facilities.
See, the future has much lesser flex spending. Like from NESCO to JWCC, flex spending has gone down by 80%. You don't need to cover things. And from NESCO, if you go to even Yashobhumi, that's even lesser.
Yeah.
And I always feel that once the visitor is already inside the venue, why you need to educate him more than what it is necessary? Think about that.
Absolutely, because they are not going to go back because there is no signage or they are not have any hoardings of the event. They have come to see the event, so they know the event is happening here.
They just want to have a good experience. And a good experience is, the backbone of good experience is good navigation. If I don't have to search for something, then I am very happy. The moment I have to search and I have to ask somebody means that I am inconvenienced. Right? So that is what we have to look for.
And when you go overseas, the signages can be very differently named also. So what is the ladies' toilet called in US? Think about it. It's called a powder room. So a lot of people will not understand what's a powder room, but then in US, that is a very mild way to say this is the ladies' room. What are the toilets called in Turkey? So they are called bhai and behen rooms. Because Turkish is very similar, that for man, the word is used bhai, and for lady it's called behen. So when you go, you wonder, bhai behen kyo likha? But it's only ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. So when you are designing something, you have to be very clear that what message you are trying to deliver, and so that a lot of people, a lot of your temp staff is not wasted in only giving answers to the obvious.
So any more questions? Or do we, yeah, please.
The temporary structure, we usually install the German structures. To get the fire NOC, since you have experience of planning for 15 years for one particular event, it becomes easy. But someone who is going for the first time or second time, extension of a German structure, it would have been done for a 15 meters German structure and you have one increase to 78. So the fire exits, usually what should be the planning for fire exits? How many meters?
That's why I mentioned it's important to know the municipal guidelines of each location.
See, fire is a state subject. So whatever rules are applying in Bangalore may not work in Bombay, may not work in Punjab. So when you are doing an event, you have to talk to and check with the state fire rules that what will they prefer.
But as a thumb rule, I can tell you, a fire exit should not be more than 30 meters away from wherever you are. That's the thumb rule. When you are doing a layout, even when you see the existing venues, you will find that each fire exit has been planned in a way that from any point of the hall, you are not more than 30 meters away from the fire exit. That's the thumb rule, but not a guideline. Any more questions?
So can you differentiate some pros and cons between old venues and new venues? For example, Bombay Exhibition Center.
See, we've already discussed cons like suddenly the...
So there are complaints that during build-up time, lot of movement takes a lot of time at the Geo World Trade Center. Here at the Bombay Exhibition Center, I mean, moving the machines or the vendors going, trucks going on inside is quite easy. But here at the Geo World Center, it takes a lot of time and it consumes a lot of time.
See, there's a difference between the two. One is the time taken before entry and the other is time taken after the entry. Geo regulates it before the entry so that you'd spend less time after the entry. There are venues which allow you any time, but the moment you get in, you enter into a kiosk and you spend more time inside than you spent outside. So it depends on what you are more comfortable with.
Sir,
No. I'm just curious. You're saying that it's difficult, to get the vehicle inside Geo, then Bombay Exhibition Center. That's what you want to say?
Yeah,
Okay. How many of you have faced this problem? Because this is something news to me.
exactly.
This is actually news to me, and I cannot digest that, to be very
No,
frank.
one of my vendors, he told me that this is a situation that the moment, like even when I was for broadcast show or all these shows, we used to bring in our vehicles for stamp fabrication. So and then at the same time, the machines coming in.
But see, as I said, I don't know the experience because the way Geo have created their movement, in terms of the parking base and thing, and if I have to compare with Bombay Exhibition, it's far more superior.
Exactly, that's
It's
what I
far more
said.
superior. That's what I'm surprised, with such kind of experience coming on to you. I don't know which exhibition you had this problem. I would say it's more of a management problem than the venue
I
problem.
was about to come to that.
It
It
would be
also
a
depends on
management
show to show. The last live machinery show that we did in NESCO was 8 May 2016, right? And in that, we had a very clear-cut process in place. All the machines, all the vehicles that were coming, they were supposed to come and park. And they were given a time slot to enter the halls. So, same thing. It's a matter of management more than the venue.
Okay, now one question to you. If nobody has any other questions, this is from my side. Now, you work with lots of organizers and definitely, you have best practices when you incorporate, your plan, what they want. What are the challenges you face, in terms of, what you want and organizers does not agree? What are those parameters? I think it will be interesting to know, your side of the story. When I was just talking to Sameer, internationally, he says it's a 5-meter aisle, but in India, we restrict it to 3. We all know the challenges why. We can do 5 meters, but we don't want to.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what you have to say from your experience?
Again, so obviously the biggest challenge is that an organizer wants maximum area to sell. As simple as that. But we have to keep in mind that the logistics are not compromised with. So a lot of times we have this challenge. If we give us aisle of 4 meters near the service entries or the lateral movement of the vehicles, we give larger, wider aisles. The organizers often come with the request that why do you need 4 meters? Why can't I have it 3 meters? So then I have to tell them that please get your logistics partner to sit here and tell me whether he'll be able to take the Hydra in with a machine of 7 tons or 10 tons or 15 tons from that 3-meter aisle that you are trying to propose. If he says, yes, I have no problems because I'm not gaining, I'm not losing, but I just want to have an efficient plan. As simple as that.
I think that becomes much more important for a machinery show.
Yes.
Because I think most of us, we know, IMTEX, I would say PMAC, and I think some others also. We have our logistics people also, Messenger Bauma. We say, 12 baje ke baad machine nahi aayega. That never happens. 12 baje ke baad hi machine aayega. What would you do? If you do not have wider aisles, the movement cannot happen. But you have to make it happen.
You'll have
the
a
best
few
thing is we
broken
are
stalls.
Jugadu people. We are Jugadu people.
Otherwise, you'll have a few broken stalls by the
Absolutely.
movement.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So,
So it's important to have all those service providers aligned with your plan. I always say that.
I will say this way. I think the only challenge which we are hum kar dete hain. See, now these are the same Indian exhibitors who go abroad also. They do everything to the T. In fact, they will do it at T-7. I'll put it that way around. But why not in India? And see, we are also international companies. We have our own events happening. Unless and until we don't reinforce, we don't educate them, the system will go on. We need to put best practices in place. So I would say the problem is within us. If we don't do it, they will not do it. It's as simple.
It's the mindset.
Yep.
It's purely the mindset. You have to set your deliverables clear from day one that I want an efficient plan. I don't want to compromise with the safety, the health concerns, the safety concerns, the logistic concerns. What if there is a VVIP movement in the hall and suddenly you find your aisles are narrow? His golf cart along with the security moving along the side of the golf cart, they cannot go together. What will you do then? The exhibition is already set up and the organizers decide to invite a VVIP. What will you do then? If you don't plan it on day one, you will end up this situation. But if you plan that, okay, if any VVIP also comes, the golf cart movement along with the security entourage, everything can move in smoothly, perfectly, anywhere in the exhibition, you've done your job. As simple as that.
And you see the venue, you need to speak to the venue before you start finalizing it. Because each city has got some unique nuances. High-Tech's team is here. So High-Tech's team, if you ask them, there is a lot of wind pressure in hall 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 halls. Sometimes the flex brandings cannot be put in High-Tech's. So you have to plan this out what High-Tech's is all about. So that wind tunnel pressure is also very high in Yashobhumi, while in Pragati Maidan or IML that is not there at all. So how buildings have been constructed, whether your flex boards would have to be torn out the same day or whether they'll keep on falling the same day because of so much of wind pressure. This is very unique in each venue. And you have to be very good at planning when you make those floor plans, keeping that in mind.
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for attending and being so responsive. Thank you.